Audio. Good afternoon. I'm going to put on here the eval code because I get bonus points if you guys fill these things out. I might get a MIX t-shirt. MIX09 T60F. Hi. This has been the busiest week at Vertigo. We had several things in the keynote, one of which I couldn't show in the keynote, but I can show today, which would be kind of fun. And there's something up there with question marks that I'm not going to talk about, but I'm going to have someone else from Microsoft talk about. So it's a little bit of cloak and dagger, but it'll become clear as we go. Partly because we've been so busy getting ready for MIX and launching these sites, it put a little bit of downward pressure on my ability to create fancy-looking PowerPoint slides. So I hope that the content we have will make up for the lack of gloss in the PowerPoint. But let me kind of explain what we do. So I'm the CEO of Vertigo. I was here last year and did the Hard Rock memorabilia application, and that was with Silverlight 2. It launched, Silverlight 2 beta launched at MIX last year. So from that point, on March 5th, up until now, March 15th, we've done other Silverlight projects since then. We did the Democratic National Convention, so 4 days of live HD video. We did the CBS inauguration, the 44th inauguration, one of the few that didn't go down on January 20th, and we had 7 live HD feeds and Twitter integration. So those were 2 big Silverlight projects that we're really proud of. We have 4 here today to talk about, and while I don't have the ability to teach everyone here Silverlight. I don't know it fully myself. My guys here know it. But I do have the ability to give you links and you demos, and if you enjoy what you're seeing, then you can use these as your own evangelism tools to go talk to your developers and designers and show them what's possible with Silverlight. Prior to MIX last year, we weren't doing any Silverlight programming. I think it was called WPF/E before that. It was such a new thing. But we've had designers at Vertigo for a long time. I think we started the design practice maybe 10 years ago, and they've always been about creating user experiences independent of the technology. And we've had developers doing .NET programming since we started 12 years ago. Back then it was called Windows DNA. But it's the combination of those 2 skill sets of our developers in .NET and our designers focusing on the people side of the equation allowed us to do these great things with Silverlight. So I want to indulge you guys and indulge me and let me show you some of the apps we have here today. So I'm going to kind of go through these 4, and then we'll definitely save some time for questions and Q&A. Sound good? Switch over to this laptop. Oh, I want to add too. I'm going to show a site at the end of the session, Playboy Archive, and I may accidentally click on something that you may find offensive. If you don't want to see that part of the session, that's why I put it at the very end. And I'm not going to actually click on something and just say I'm going to accidentally click it. I've got an 11-year-old kid, and he probably wants to watch my session too, so I'm not going to go there. Although, what's really creepy, well, I don't know if it's creepy. It's kind of weird. There is a 1976 issue of Playboy in this Playboy archive that I had when I was 11. It's really, now I'm not that old, but I had an older hand-me-down issue. So I saw that and I remember that Jimmy Carter article. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the Visit MIX site. So how many of you have used this site so far? Should be all of you, honestly. There's probably a time when everybody has used the site, because this is where you found out details about the agenda, the registration details, etc. Yes, I need to switch screens. Let's see. So this is the Visit MIX site. We did the site last year. This year, we did some interesting things. What I want to do is kind of walk through some of the components just on this home page, just on the front page, because one of my developers, Jim Lynn, who's here with me, he spent some time walking through this one page with me, and I was astonished as to all the interesting little bits about Silverlight and Ajax and jQuery and live search providers and IE8 slices. This one page is actually a pretty good advertisement for a lot of current Microsoft technology. So I'm going to walk you through about 5 different bullet points here and kind of explain how these are working. So how many of you saw Bill yesterday? You're all at the keynote? Awesome. Now, what we're seeing right here is that's a medium quality. I'm going to switch to high quality. This video stream was captured and rendered in 3 different bit rates. I don't know what the highest one is, Jim. Do you know the highest? 1,500? So 1,500 megabits per second, which gives you the high quality. It's not HD, but it's a really nice high quality. I believe we had this content available later that evening. So everything was captured and compressed and rendered and delivered, and all Jim had to do was modify one attribute tag on the media element. So we have a media element Silverlight tag. We just set the source equal to a predefined URL, which he can toggle given the 3 different buttons, and we're done. I mean, the workflow from Vertigo's perspective was very, very easy. Now, this is hitting an MMS stream, so the Microsoft Media Server, which pretty much as of yesterday, I think we're going to stop using because we now have smooth streaming, but we didn't have it available at the time we were doing this project. But you can see the MMS, the URI right there. So that's using a Windows Server 2008 media streaming server. And it allows us to, what's nice is that even if you don't have smooth streaming, you can still use the same technology today and simply change your URL once you have smooth streaming enabled. Jim, I do have a feature request because I want to be able to have markers in here so I can show different points in the keynote. I do know that I'm right between high and other videos. So pretty much right here. So there's David. So this was actually a pretty easy part of the site. Over here on the right-hand side is our Twitter integration. In fact, if you guys tweet something to MIX09, pound MIX09 right now, it should show up in this list. I believe what we do about every 30 seconds or 60 seconds, this Silverlight control goes to search.twitter.com. And I was actually surprised at how easy this was. It's the client-side code goes here and hits MIX09. And they don't parse this HTML page, but what they're doing is parsing the feed for this tweet. Hey, who did that? That's pretty cool. Somebody just said that. That's cool. Now, this page only returns 15 results. There is a parameter that allows you to return up to, you can specify a number and get even more results. So this is just an HTTP GET of this data. And then Jim uses, was it Link? I think he's using Link to parse through the results and simply display them back on this page. Now, it's pretty straightforward code-wise, but we did find that during the keynote, especially in the first day keynote, that the MIX09 tag surpassed South by Southwest, which was a show going on at the same time. And the combination of the two pretty much brought Twitter to its knees. We found that the search results were returning some errors and some problems. So it was kind of satisfying to know, and also gives us an opportunity to go back to Twitter and see if they're interested in upgrading their architecture to something more scalable like ASP.NET. So moving down the page a little bit, we've got, so this is a pretty straightforward. In ASP.NET, we had the ability to quickly or simply change content here. He's using a jQuery library to go out and parse some data. And also, I don't remember the name of the little pop-up control, but it's part of the jQuery packages. You can very easily use some JavaScript and Ajax to go pop up that data. So down here, we're not in Silverlight anymore. This is just HTML, but it was probably the most expedient way to get this data in. So we have a nice integration of Silverlight up at the top, and then ASP.NET at the bottom. And then these three columns, Community Buzz, MIX09, and Event Updates. I missed this morning's keynote because I was asleep. But I think they showed, it was a late night. I think they showed IE8 slices. And when I think of slice, I think of those little orange wedge candies. So little orange slices. I love those things with the little hard crystallized sugar. But this is about as cool as those. And if you look at these rectangles, as I hover over them, you get this little green outline. And I was surprised how easy it was to do this. If you view the source for this and search for, and by the way, that's a heck of a lot of view state. Do we really need all that? We do. Jim's like, it works. H-slice. So if you have a div tag with a predefined class name of H-slice, then IE8 will look for any div tag with that class and decorate the outer border of that div tag. And that's how we get that little green box. Now what happens is, if I want to track the news coming from Mix, I can hover over that box and add it. So I clicked on that green link, I can add it to my favorites bar. You can see up at the top, it just flashed bold because there are updates. Now when I click the drop down, or if I hover over it, you can see the title and the URL from which it can go and gather this data. This is a Silverlight page. It's a small Silverlight control running inside of an IE8 slice. So with just a couple simple buttons, and you can see the Twitter feed here, and you can also see a small video of Mike Swanson. And the way we get that extra data for that, under the H slice, we have two more classes, entry title and entry content. The title gives us the title for your drop where you park the favorites. And what's nice is because this is being done in HTML, you can localize that tag for your end user. And also we have another URL right here, this MIX09view.aspx. And if you tack that on the end of it, you'll see that this is just that little Silverlight control. And that's it. That's pretty easy. Now, I don't know how this is going to catch on, part of the micro formats and everything, but it's pretty easy to add to your site. I think it's one of the nice features of IE8. A couple more quick things to show on this. Let's go back. I think at the bottom. Okay, so the last thing I want to show is we have an open search provider for the site. If you go up to the top right and hit the drop down, you can see you can search you can search on the Mix site itself. So if I click that and type in Stanfield, you should see my session or my bio. So that's pretty cool. And it's a really straightforward thing to do. We can go to, there's a special page. Actually, we just need to go back to the source code for this. View the source, and at the top, oh gosh, I got to find it. There's a type it's right in here. Here we go. Application/open search description. That's a tag that will be picked up not only by IE8 but other modern browsers. And if it sees that, it will use the mix search provider.xml to configure that custom search provider. So if I close that and drop that in here, you can see it's a pretty small file. It gives it the mix search name right there, which is the title for that search, a URI type. So basically, whatever you type in there, so Stanfield would have been passed to the query string for results.aspx. And that's how you integrate it, and you give it a little icon. Again, it's pretty straightforward. Now, I have to show you a kind of a weird thing that I found earlier. In fact, I did a search for March Madness up here, but because I still had that search provider selected for MIX09, it went to my page. I'm like, well, that was weird. So this is actually a great transition for me to have Eric Schmidt come up and talk about March Madness. By the way, you guys do know what March Madness is, right? You go to the sports book here at the Venetian, it's going to be packed. And maybe you can show us what games are playing.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Hello. Hello. I'm going to apologize in advance. I haven't slept in about 6 days. So where'd all your browsers go? Did you shut them down?
Probably. Sorry.
It's all right. I think we know where to go. Oops. That's not it. There you go. Well, first of all, Scott, thanks for having me up to talk. My name's Eric Schmidt. I work at Microsoft in our media and evangelism team out of corporate. We have a small team that focuses on helping content providers, predominantly commercial content providers, broadcasters, major broadcasters, et cetera, help them get their content on the web in meaningful, compelling, and hopefully monetizable manners. We started a relationship with CBS, specifically CBS Sports, about 4 or 5 months ago, and the intent was to help them improve the online experience for March Madness. One of the core focuses for them was to deliver higher quality video and a little bit kind of immersive user experience. So for those of you who have watched March Madness in the past, how many people are March Madness fans? So in the past, the experience has basically been a pretty simple Windows Media Player experience. And over time, they've evolved that. What are we doing here? Oh, okay. Over time, they've evolved that to include a little bit more information, but even today, the basic player that's on CBS Sports is basically just a Windows Media Player. We worked with them to provide a Silverlight-based implementation, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of those features. Go ahead and boot this up. How many of you have played with this so far? I was nerding out this morning. We were monitoring all the games. It was a pleasure. We had 4 laptops open, and we were watching all 4 games at once. And I looked at the television, and I just turned it off. I was like, well, why do I need this TV on right now? So that was kind of cool. First thing I want to show, right now, one of the things we have the ability to do is to dynamically update this site. This isn't that big of a feature, but it's definitely a big feature whenever you want to make sure that the live games are actually live. So we've integrated with CBS's workflow system. So as games come live, they will appear in this live page. And let's see, I don't like Gonzaga because I'm a Husky fan. Villanova, what, Texas? All right, we'll watch the Texas game. I knew that was going to come up. So the first thing you'll know, and I'll kind of talk over this, is that there's obviously ad integration. So we've integrated with CBS's ad serving technology. And there's 2 things going on here. One, we're running pre-rolls that are synchronized to advertisements. And I'll go ahead and click on those just to show. Oh. How do you right mouse click on this Mac mouse? What is this? How do you, where is it? Over here? Oh, okay.
You just have to pretend it's there, and it's there.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry about that. I'm a PC. And, yeah, why do you have this? So this is one of the important points, and we've been dealing with this ever since we really started to get, I would say, legitimate traction with Silverlight. Is, can you do integration with advertisement? The answer is, of course, yes. It's actually quite simple to do via the DOM bridge inside of Silverlight. We communicate back and forth to synchronize those ads and then push off ad analytics calls to make sure that everything is getting tracked correctly. One of the other nice things I'll show while this game is playing, I can go back to the live bracket, and you can see that we have this nice translucency here on the layer, so you can kind of still see that the action is there. There's a lot on the screen. We have some other implementations of this in other apps, and it's nice so you can kind of peek and still see what's going on in the background. Go ahead and close that window. One of the other things that I didn't talk about while I was distracted by this right mouse button is whenever we boot up this application, we're also doing some bandwidth detection, and then setting what we believe to be the best available bandwidth for the user. We're serving up 4 different stream levels all the way up to 1.5 megabits. We also have heuristics built into this application to look at frames per second, as well as, what's the other piece that we're looking at? And buffering. Buffering is kind of an evil thing of sorts if you haven't really dug into the media element. There's a bunch of different reasons why buffering can occur. You spend a couple hours, you realize that, the buffering event inside of the media element is actually very helpful, and it's even more helpful if you combine it with other information. So we're looking at the prevailing frames per second and combining those two and presenting the user, if we think that they're having a poor experience, to go ahead and downgrade that. So I'll do this myself right now. I'm just going to go ahead and downgrade to the better value. We'll go ahead and reconnect. One of the things that you saw yesterday in the keynote, which will solve this problem in the future, is our smooth streaming technology. We won't have to go back and reconnect to a stream. We'll be able to just seamlessly downstep to the next available kind of chunks of frames. We showed that implementation during the Olympics. I'm really excited about that. Another interesting piece to point out is this What's Hot tab. We're actually taking looking at all of the viewership information in real time and pushing that back to a SQL Server farm, and we're doing real-time analysis on it, and within about 2 to 3 minutes we're getting updated information about which are the most popular clips. So you can kind of go in and see who is looking at what. That may sound like a simple thing to do. It turns out that pretty much at 9 a.m. The pain comes right? We saw traffic on the site just kind of hovering around, maybe about 10 or 15,000 users kind of looking around, and then boom, we get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users all at once. CBS will, in the future, kind of disclose what those numbers are. They're big. They make really big, pretty graphs. And at the end of the day, you need some very stable infrastructure to do that. So that's kind of the back-end server piece that we worked on. But on the front-end side, inside of Silverlight, what we were able to do is take advantage of this class called the background worker thread, where we spin up threads in the background. They're not running on the UI thread inside of Silverlight to do a bunch of complex web services communication and then parsing of XML content whenever it comes back down to the client. So there's a lesson learned there. Never do your WCF or your any type of processing on the UI thread, otherwise it'll look like crap. So another interesting thing, and this was really, I got to hand it to the Vertigo guys on this one. They sent me mail, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago, and they said, hey, this app is fat. It's kind of a heavy download to get this application to the client. Obviously, every byte counts whenever you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of users, and also every byte counts whenever you're dealing with unpredictable bandwidth. And through some creative work, really by looking at the API that they were writing, they got this thing down to, what's the total count now, like 300K or so? 444? Yeah, which is mostly all images. So that entire application is roughly around 440K. I think one of the nice things that they went off and did was they really took advantage of Link and the XDocument class to do a lot of XML parsing to get away from system.xml.serialization. XML serialization is great, but it's pretty heavy, and it adds about 650K to your application. So the story there is, if you're smart, you can get these applications to be very robust, but also very lightweight. I think what else? Oh, the boss button. Let me go back over. Of course, the boss button is very important. I had a lot of creative ideas on this. They were all shot down, one of which was Clippy. And I actually wanted to go pull down live bracket stats from my fantasy league, but that idea was also shot down. But this is there. Am I missing something else about the boss button? No. Yeah. So one of the other pieces is we do have kind of quasi full screen support. One of the key pieces to point out here is that everyone always asks for full screen. Why don't you have full screen? Full screen is great, but what full screen does is it takes up the full screen. And whenever you're worried about monetization, full screen with kind of traditional ad delivery models today, specifically banners or even just this branding, become a problem. So we kind of compromise. We still have a 16:9 aspect ratio. You see the video still blows up beautifully because we're delivering a high bit rate. You still have access, though, to, well, you will in a minute once we get through all these ads. You still have access to all the bracket information and what's hot. So it really doesn't matter which mode you're in, whether you're in this kind of compressed mode or full screen. Come on, come back to action. There you go. So go ahead and do that. Then I can still go back to the brackets. I haven't shown this feature yet. Another feature of this is this kind of live. It's kind of quasi live. We had I would say some aspirations to probably update this faster. But on the selection day Sunday, we were able to update this in real time, or actually as the games were being selected, we were dropping them into the brackets. And it was very fun because then you could just kind of navigate around and look to see who was coming up. My Huskies won today, yes, and they covered the spread. I'm going to go to the sports book and pick up my bet. But this is great. Between the video and the bracket, you really don't, and being able to kind of switch between games, you really don't have to kind of go anywhere else. All the information is there. It's all in one environment. But we are doing things, though, like being able to drive traffic back out to CBS Sports. It's obviously important to them. Like, even while the games go on, there's a lot of information that CBS Sports and their writers are producing. So we can go ahead and contextually link out to them. I think that's it. We have about 2.5 more weeks of March Madness left, I guess. Thank the folks at Vertigo for their work. This was really a job that we embarked upon with CBS, and we always look for great partners, and you guys have done awesome work. So continue the madness and go Huskies. So.
I'm a little disappointed Cal lost, but that's me. Get the Huskies in. 6 Pac-10 teams made it. That's not bad. The next application I want to show. By the way, it was satisfying this morning to wake up and see the email that kicked off 3 of the live games at 9 a.m. this morning. No problem. 9:30. The next piece I want to show is KEXP. Now, this is something that we showed in the keynote today. I want to give you an idea, a little bit of the behind the scenes of that piece as well. KEXP. By the way, did you guys I have to? Do I have Rolling Stone on here? Daryl, is Rolling Stone on here? Origin? Okay. And this is only going to work on my laptop, right? Oh, wrong window? Oh, right here. Cool. By the way, you guys can't use this URL. It will be blocked. It won't work. There's a special key on my laptop that allows it to unlock that. But I have to show you something. When I was practicing all the way back to yesterday morning, and I did a search for Seattle, and I showed the Pearl Jam link, and then later went and clicked here. It wasn't until yesterday morning I was just clicking around to see what else came up when I searched for Seattle, and it was this complete serendipitous find. I didn't say it, but KCMU were the previous call sign letters for KEXP, which is the demo that followed me. In fact, this was the guy, Riz, he did the morning music. Remember, this is from 1994. So this was the DJ yesterday morning as people were coming into the session. And this is Tom Mara, the really tall guy on stage. I think it was like 6'6". That's him in suspenders. So I actually, if you remember, at 8 a.m., is he back there? Sorry, Tom. 6'6", right? 6'8". So, okay. Oh, 6'8". Yeah, he's a big dude. I ran over there. I said, have you heard of a radio station called KCMU? Yeah, that was our call sign. So that was just this weird, total synchronicity kind of thing. It was fun. So let me show you a little bit about KEXP. This was a really interesting project because this is one of our earlier pitch decks to KEXP, and we're trying to think of how we balance classic radio and the attributes of that, but the experience that people expect with players like iTunes, but also the Web 2.0 experience. And we wanted to show something that combined all 3 aspects of an online experience, offline, and also strong community connection. Because although this is traditional broadcast, one-to-many, KEXP has a very strong listener base, and they're very passionate about the music. And this is a way for them to connect back to the DJs and the fellow listeners and to share and discover music. So we did a quick, well, it wasn't quick, it was a heck of a lot of work, actually. In fact, we have entire conference rooms just covered with papers and whiteboards, and it all boiled down to some hand sketches that we made on 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper done with just ink, and they scanned them in on a flatbed scanner and put this PowerPoint deck together as kind of the pitch for how the vision of this demo might unfold. And so the idea, you can see we start by double-clicking an icon on the desktop. It brings up KEXP. It'll bring up our little application here, the KEXP logo, the player, the current title, song, and the DJ comments. And we walk through this pitch. Now, if you guys were paying attention on the Expression Studio part, Expression Blend has this feature now called Sketch Flow. So you can imagine, we're trying to talk about these subtle transitions from this. Well, watch, we just went offline. So here we're online, so that's lit up and that's not. And then you imagine trying to explain over the phone our idea over speakerphone and advance to the next slide, and we just went offline. It's really hard to do that. So you have these high-fidelity ideas, but you have this low-fidelity PowerPoint in which to transmit these ideas. And for the designers in the audience, what we're talking about are the motion graphics and the steps in between the frames. And that's very difficult to do in something like PowerPoint. But it did get the point across. We will definitely save time and money by using SketchFlow because we'll be able to do and show these transitions without trying to walk people through. But the storyboarding is still very important. In fact, as we went through the project, that was the original deck. We, Alan Lee, one of our designers, every day took a snapshot of our current progress. So right after this, once we got approval for this, we did just a quick kind of wireframe, but with code. And every day we slowly refined it. There was a big change right there. And you can see we're testing different colors and themes as we go forward, and different play buttons. And should the play button be on the left or the right? We got the colors in there, and we slowly get to the end where we've got the final application, which resulted in this. So I'm going to launch the project. Oh, that's great. I just lost my reference for it. That's what I get for renaming folders right before. Let's see, source, solution. Now, there were there's actually three key features I really like about this for Silverlight. Silverlight 3, there's the out-of-browser experience and the ability to detect whether or not you are connected to a network or not, and also some of the new animation easing concepts. And I'll try to show all three. First of all, I'm going to hit F5 just to make sure it all compiles and runs. I don't know why Mozilla is my default browser. There's probably a reason at some point. This is our little Silverlight launch page, and we instrumented this page for our benefit. So if you hit Shift-click, normally you don't see this stuff. You're seeing how the sausage gets made. But if I Shift-click, we have a little configuration window pop up. And we had two options. One is stage, so we can run completely in a sandbox, and the other is live, so we can really connect to a live KEXP stream. And we also have to increase the quota because this Silverlight application, which I'm now launching, so I'm going to put a shortcut on the desktop in the Start menu. It uses those, what was it, 30 megabytes? I didn't see it, 300 megabytes? We have some local storage, and because I've already run this once in this computer, you didn't see the window that pops up before, but the first time you run it, it's going to say, hey, we'd like to increase the local scratch space on your hard drive. And we're using that space to download this content, which I did earlier today. I should have cleared it. But you would see that being downloaded, and then it would stop. And this is what allows me to, by the way, Windows 7, this build does not work with my output jack, unfortunately, so you can't hear it. But it does work. But this would allow me not only to listen to the live KEXP feed, but also I can see and launch some of these, some of the local video content here. And this really makes sense is when you disconnect your network connection and you change it. So you probably saw that in the keynote. I'll just, I think it's the coolest animation. I haven't tested it on my machine, so where do they put the network stuff in Windows 7? Is this it? Open network, and it's something over here. Yeah, good. And it's probably, I'm actually wireless the whole time? No. There, show local. Okay, disable, and poof. Oh, this was the coolest thing. I don't know why. I think it's cool. But I love the little animation popping up. And the thing is, it was so quick. I remember being backstage, seeing all this backwards through the rear projection screen, that it looked fake. You know, like you had this, really seemed like there's some kind of smoke and mirrors going on behind, but there really isn't. And I love the little animation pop-up. So you can now see this goes dark, it says offline, and when we reconnect, we enable, it comes back up. So our application is obviously getting some kind of event to know whether or not we're connected or not. And we're also getting an event earlier when the user wants to take the take the application out of the browser and drop it into the shortcut here. So now at any time, I can just double-click, and my speaker works here. Watch. You're all going to have this song in your head. It's Green Acres, right? Yeah, this is what is in our head all day. So that works awesome. Okay, back to the code real quick. Let me show you a couple things. We're doing good on time. I need to open that solution. Where'd it go? Didn't I already have it open? Oh, there. Okay. So let me stop it from running. And down here under views, we have this. Well, let me just go ahead and launch the main view. Let me bring it up in Expression Blend. This is Expression Blend 3. And I'll show you a couple things here, if I can recall where they went. And as that's loading, we started working with Expression Blend 3. Well, we've been using Blend since it's been out, but there's some really nice new features in here. Again, I did a there's like a handful of shortcuts you need to know if you're going to use Blend, especially if you're going to use Blend and do it on 1024-768. But Tab hides the Chrome, Control 0 will bring it up, and Control plus and minus, and the space bar gives you the little hand icons so you can move them around. So if I put the Chrome back on, we have a couple of, we're using the Visual State Manager, which is a feature in Silverlight 2. It's also part of Silverlight 3. And we have one that, let's see, the show downloads. Wait, which one is it, Alan? That one? So we have the show downloads prompt, and I have it open. Now I got to drill way down in here because we have this, whoops, I just lost it, Control 0. I have to drill way down to the bottom and expand these grids out, and you'll see where we have the little window pop up that says that we've been offline. So this little render transform, what we have is this fancy little, the render transform allows you to change the XY position and the scale of a window. And we're using that render transform to pop up this window right here. So I'm going to let me play this animation, and you'll see that pop up. So you can see that you are no longer connected, just pops out like that. So at some point in our application, we want to trigger the show downloads prompt. I would have called it your no longer connected prompt, but that's just me. You can use that tip. So there's a new feature in Silverlight 3 called animation easing. And if I select one of these points here and bring up the properties, I love this. So I need to maximize the windows here, get all my available space, make this a little bigger. Man, this is really tough at this resolution. Okay, so you see this easing function? So it's currently set to back out, but we have all these new different types of animation easing. And, of course, you got your quadrics and your quartics. And we hit play. Well, that pretty much looks the same. How about elastic and make 16 oscillations? Oh, that actually looked kind of cool. Yeah, this is why you don't let developers do this stuff. Because we will pick the craziest looking animation, like 16 and 16. I don't even know what this is going to do. Let's see. Okay, I guess it's still pretty quick, but this is a lot of fun. But it's such a nice change from the linear animation, which is the default. So the fact that they don't even have it on here. What's system animation? Whoa, okay, too much. Anyway, so you get a sense. So the idea is now we have this that little bit of XAML, or this window, attached to that function, and that view state manager, that little state transition from show downloads prompt to hide downloads prompt. Let me get out of here. And that would be in its main view, Ellen? Forgot. Yeah. Oh, no, it's the top one. Sorry, top bar. We have, when this window opens, the top bar is the thing at the top. Looks like a bar. We are subscribing to this new thing called the network change event. Network change, network address changed. And when that fires, which is handled in the method below, we just call set network status, which is very easy. We simply query the network interface, is it available or not? If we're connected, we transition to the go online state, or we use the Visual State Manager to go offline. And that's it. That's how we trigger the visual prompt. So think about it. We've gone all the way from a disconnected network state, which is a really low-level TCP/IP thing, all the way up the stack and alerted the user in a way that's appropriate for this kind of event. I mean, maybe that's a little too much, but it works well in the demo. So I think that's a really cool way to connect all the way up. To take the application out of browser, so all that does is detect whether or not we're online or offline. But to take this out of browser, you have to add one little thing here. It's called an app, well, two things. One is the app manifest. And this is a new section that we have now in Silverlight 3 where we can set the short name and the title and a couple different icons for the app. And if this is part of your ZAP file, part of your configuration, then in the application that hosts it, in our case, our little launch control window, brought up cider. Okay, so this is up. This is that little small, kind of the little static window that when you click on it, it'll bring it out of browser. There is just one or two lines of code where that we can detach. Did I pass it? Alan? Detach, button, click. Yeah, there. Okay. And that's it. We just call app.currentDetach. One line of code to take it out of browser. An earthquake? I'm from California. I'm a little skittish. No, I think it's just some trolley. Okay. That's it. One line of code. Isn't this what air is trying to do? Okay, that is really freaky. I'm already halfway under this table. Jeez, man. Oh, it's a forklift. Well, that doesn't make me feel any better. Ugh. All right. Well, that's okay. That's good. Good time to transition to that. And here's a nice segue. Talk about bringing the roof down. Yesterday morning, we thought we could bring the entire house down if we were able to show the application I'm going to show you now. And I'm not really going to show you that much, honestly, because there's some content here you need to be over 18 to see. And if you want to hit it on your own time, it would encourage that. But this is the other application that we launched yesterday, playboyarchive.com. Now, don't give us a hard time that this is Flash. Dante did a fantastic job with this. Watch this. And he did it like in 2 days. So we're going to get you to Silverlight. But so he had a very short amount of time to get this going. And then when you click here to launch it, it goes to the Silverlight application. And here we have 53 issues of Playboy. We have one from each year. And the idea here, although we demonstrated Rolling Stone yesterday, we don't have the Rolling Stone content available online yet for public use. But we do have Playboy, but I couldn't show it in the keynote yet. Some of the older Playboys, though, are quite intriguing. As you saw yesterday, that you can click and go in. Honestly, obviously the pictures are great and the articles are kind of fun, but I love these old ads. Like, apparently back in 1959, we entered our cars from the front. Anybody know what this car is, by the way? Anybody know this? Yes, it's BMW 600 two-door. Two-door, it looks like a one-door. It's like one in the front, one in the back. I don't know. It's great. And some fantastic ads. I mean, back then, look, this is your tuxedo, this is your shoe, this is your cocktail, and here's your crew cut gel. And if I could find it, this is an Audi. So this DKW, which was Germany's wonder car. Well, look at that icon. Anybody with an Audi, you recognize those 4 rings. Eventually, this was a brand that was folded under the Audi brand. And I know there's some, here we go. This is high def back then. Our 8mm camera. It's just fascinating. There's an article in this issue that's written by Jack Kerouac. I think this issue has a collection. The cover has a lot of all these girls right back here were drawn by different cartoon artists, different artists in the series. So my favorite is the Vargas girls back here. And it's really nice to be able to scroll through and see the different content and the different cartoonists. So, I mean, we have a magazine back in 1961 that's highlighting Vargas and all the other cartoonists that did the wonderful illustrations inside Playboy. And you can go through, you actually don't get to anything that's potentially questionable until like page 60 or 70. So it's very deep. But they clearly had a different sense. Oh, I love this. This is great. The Hard Rock memorabilia site that we launched last year with Duncan Shannon, Mike Lemmy's here, and he did the design work for it. And I remember being upstairs a year ago trying to figure out how we do that demo. If you remember, we started with the Beatles and used the mouse wheel to scroll all the way back up, and we ended up with Frank Sinatra. So when we were looking around here as a way to finish, we found this great photo of Sinatra here at the Sands Hotel. And that's where we are here today. This is the Sands Hotel. It was blown up in 1996. In fact, 2 weeks prior to that, they crashed the Con Air. How many of you saw that terrible movie, Con Air? They crashed the Con Air C-130 into the lobby of the Sands Hotel. And then 2 weeks later, they blew up the whole thing. I mean, they crashed it on purpose. They were going to get rid of it. And that's where we are here today. So you guys have seen some pretty cool applications here, I hope. You've also seen me also operating like Eric with very little sleep. It's not trivial to do these kinds of applications, but they're very rewarding. This application in particular is over 40 gigabytes worth of content. And when you use Deep Zoom, the Deep Zoom tools, we have a product called Big Picture. It's basically server-side Deep Zoom tools to help manage this scale out. It generates 2.2 million files. And trying to copy 2.2 million files up to our partner, Akamai, for this content distribution network, we had this little countdown timer And at one point, we realized to transfer 2.2 million files using FTP from our Vertigo's 45 megabit per second connection would take 8 days. It would have been done today. So by the time we really started uploading 8 days ago, and we would have finished at one point Thursday at about, I think it was like 9 a.m. Like, okay, we need another route. So we instead did zip files and moved them up. But just trying it, 30 gigabytes doesn't seem like a lot, but when you transfer it 15 times from laptop to hard drive to keychain, it's just hours and hours of agony. So we used that downtime to test the Playboy archive site. It was a tough project. It's really tough. Your neck gets sore right here because we don't have the ability to take the centerfolds and make them upright. Seriously, you walk in and somebody says, okay, next page. No, it gets fun. So that's it for my presentations, for my demos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would we have a unique opportunity because we happen to have pretty much a person from every project here. If you guys have questions, we can take them on the microphone. But with that, if you need to leave, that's great. But I thank you for coming. But let's stick around, see if there's any questions. Thank you. And we have a, hi.
I've got a quick question. I love your radio station offline player. And I'm fascinated.
Can't see.
Did the time, you can't see me?
No, I'm going to get my hat.
Okay.
It's also branding. But I can't, that light is blinding.
When you estimated that job, did you estimate it in a
That
way
didn't help.
that you were actually able to make a profit from building it?
Make a profit from the player?
Yeah.
So this is a kind of a business model question for KXP?
Oh, I'm just wondering how much it cost you to develop it, and time and money and...
I don't want to know. I don't really know, honestly.
You don't know?
We just had to get it done. I mean, bottom line, I mean,
Do you have
because we
like
know Silverlight, well, we started the demo thing, it was 11 days ago. Yeah. But we've been working on it for a while. Yeah, please.
So really what happened was we have a mainline development process, right? Like, you know, anytime we do demos, right? Like, we basically stand up another kind of project and source tree. So
Yeah.
I think the time to do that was about, I would say, probably 9 days from the time that we actually said, this is what we want to build and go.
So it's a $10,000 project?
Yeah, it would probably, well, depending on bill rate. I mean, that's his
I'm just
question.
fascinated because, I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about how much money they have and what they can get.
So being the client, I would say we probably did about a week worth of design work and then about 8 or 9 days worth of development work. So.
But we had 3 designers, so 3 weeks, 3-person weeks. But the development side's not the hard part. It's the ideation part and the coming up with the designs. I mean, I'm not trivializing the development part, but we already know Silverlight. So the hard part's coming up with all the flow and the transitions.
So the strategy.
But remember, though, like Eric said, that we have a mainline development path for a broader picture. But the idea is, what can we show around the vision for what a Silverlight out-of-browser experience would be? So it's I wouldn't go quoting any kind of prices yet, maybe premature. But yeah, it's been good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any more? Great. You guys want to get out and help test our site? KXP it's not live. Oh, KXP.org is the radio station.
So what's live today is that you can go to kxp.org and click on the homepage and go watch the South by Southwest streams in the Silverlight environment. So, and then, right, that player's not there yet. So
Yeah.
we got to wait until Silverlight 3 is.
Yeah, that's right. Silverlight 3 is not shipped today. We just have a developer release. I went to sleep. Yes, question?
Coming from Flash background, we were doing something not the same but similar for clients, meaning flipbooks. So if we take this sort of application and develop it in Silverlight, how easy is it to add videos and interactions for users?
Add video to this? Mm-hmm. I'll show you. Well, easy is a pretty tough question to answer, but I can tell you it's possible. Mojave experiment. Oh, geez. I don't have my glasses on. Mojave experiment. Oh, geez, forget it. Hold on. Mojave experiment. Let the web do my spell checking. Here we go. So this is a video integrated with a deep zoom-like experience where you can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. So this is an app that my guys built using some of the same technology. This is Silverlight 2. So we can kind of navigate through a cloud. You can click and it centers and starts playing. And this is a Microsoft campaign to, I have this song in my head too. So yeah, it's totally possible.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Okay, I don't see any more questions, so we'll wrap it up, but we'll be around up here if you guys want to come up and talk. Thanks a lot for coming, everyone.